Well, hello everybody, Ian here with another blog chat and something different today. I'm going to talk to you about creating a fictional railway, an alternative history, if you like, how it can increase your enjoyment of the hobby, and perhaps it's going to give you something new to think about. Now, railway modelers have been tweaking the facts of history to their own ends long before disreputable politicians did. Ooh. Little satirical social political commentary there. Yeah. So, fiction in model railways, it's not a new idea. Most of us have some made-up facts in our layouts, but I'm talking about creating a whole fictional railway system, an entire history. So, arguably, the most famous model railway in the world is a work of fiction. It's a model of a fictitious rail system. American modeler John Allen's gory and defeated railroad graced the pages of the American model railroad magazines from the 1940s until the 1970s. That started off as a small 8-foot by 4-foot layout before expanding into the huge floor-to-ceiling basement-filling empire beloved of so many US modelers. That's an entire work of fiction. And English modelers have been creating fictional lines for a long time too. I mean, probably even longer than the Americans, because John Ahern's Madder Valley Railway, for example, that goes back to the 1930s. So, and then you've got things like Craig and Mertonford by P.D. Hancock and Derek Naylor's Air Valley Railway. I mean, those go back to the 1960s in railway modelers. They've been around a long time. More recently, the late Bob Barlow and the late Ian Rice, they created the East Suffolk Light Railway. They used that for several of their P4 layouts, creating an entire history with route maps, track plans, timetables, etc., tying everything together in a unifying concept, which is most useful as they were both, for much of the time that they were building these layouts, they were on either sides of the country. So to have a document like that helps pull everything together and keep it all consistent, And in his book, Light Railway Layout Designs, Ian Rice talks about it and about how he put the history together. And it's fascinating stuff, and it inspires me every time I read it. So, what do you need to create a fictional railway system? Well, everybody's different, but these are just a few observations of mine about what I've done for the best part of 40 years working with my East Lincolnshire Light Railway concept. And, well, to start with, I really think you've got to have an interest in the region that you're going to build, that you're going to run your railway in. I mean, this isn't for all modelers. Many of us are rather run trains or scratch build a signal box or a station building or something, make a wagon kit rather than writing up a fake Bradshaw's railway guide entry, a timetable, something like that. So I was born and brought up in East Lincolnshire and have a great fondness for the area and its history. The floods of 1953, the Pilgrim Fathers, Sir Isaac Newton's Swing Out Sister. Yeah, you can Google them. Yeah, so, and of course, the railways of my birth county, the railways around where I was raised. So, learning that railway history is a great place to start. And that's how I discovered that there was a railway line planned, but never built in the area that I developed the East Lincolnshire Light Railway. So, and a great place to find that information is your local library, of course, because let's face it, not everything is digitized. Yes, there's a great amount of information out there on the internet, but you can't beat going down to your local library and finding something out there. So, and then there's these small local history books that you can pick up in souvenir shops whenever you visit a place when you go on holiday. I mean, these contain old photographs, and I love these books. There's so much great information in them. Here's one, Stillwater, Minnesota, with lots of great pictures in them. And well, this pile is books on the railways of Lincolnshire. Now, these things only cost a few pounds or dollars or whatever your local currency is, and they're full of great information. And you might just flick through a page and you see something and you think, "Ooh, I like that," and before you know it, you've started down the rocky road to creating your own fictional railway. So next, you will need to head to the maps to plot your route. Now, this can be a lot of fun, looking at the towns and villages, the settlements on your map, and just draw a line between them. And don't forget that if you're plotting on a modern map and you're modelling an old line, well, then some of the settlements will have been a lot smaller in the past, but if a little study of the history of the area might reveal industries or businesses that could have benefited from being served by a railway. So, you just join them up with a line. I mean, it's that simple. If your line is in a hilly area, of course, you may have to pay attention to gradients, and because there's no point in creating a line to find that it climbed an impossible grade. Well, that is unless you want a cable-worked incline or a rack railway or something like that. But because it's your railway, you can do what you like. For maps in the UK, we have the Ordnance Survey, and the best maps in the world. And this is Land Ranger 113. This is what I drew my first East Lincolnshire light railway route on. And so the 1 inch, oh no, this is 1 to 50, this is a metric one. The old maps were like 1 inch to the mile, but now we've gone metric in the UK. These are like 1 to 50,000 or 2 centimeters to the kilometer. So, not to worry, there is a great deal of detail on these, and you can very easily plot a basic route out on this. Then you can, if you want to go into greater detail, there are old maps, and they're available downloadable from the Library of Scotland archive. And they are like, you've got 6 inch to the mile maps, 10 inch to the mile maps, even 25 inches to the mile maps. And now those are really great for being able to measure building footprints. That's a great resource to have, and you can, if depending on how far you want to go, you can order a sheet, a map from, they go back to the 1890s. When I was researching the East Lincolnshire Light Railway for the North Coast project that I'm on now, I found a 25 inch to the mile map from 1897 of Northcotes, and then I found one from 1907, I think it was. And in that intervening 10 years, the chapel, which I've talked about in the past on previous videos, the chapel had actually been, in the intervening 10 years, the chapel had actually gained an extension. So, and that was something that I could plot on the map and measure. So it's a very useful resource to have. So in America, you've got the USGS maps, the United States Geographical Survey. They give you the general lay of the land. They're not as detailed as Ordnance Survey maps, but they'll give you the height, the shape, and the lay of the land, the contours and such like. So they're very useful. What America has, what is really cool, is the Sanborn fire maps. These are detailed maps of American cities that were published by the let's see if I can say it correctly, the Sanborn Map Company. These maps were created to allow fire insurance companies to assess their liability in urbanized areas. The maps contain detailed information about properties and individual building sizes, and this in approximately like 12,000 US cities and towns. So let's say that you are creating a fictional American railroad, and you plot a route on a map and it goes down Main Street of a small town or city. You could, in theory, be able to plot the route of your line on the Sanborn map and couple that with historic pictures from a book you picked up in a local store or found on the library or found on the internet, and you can pull all that together into one, into a model. You've created a fictional model using photographs and a Sanborn map. I mean, that sounds great to me. That really does sound quite exciting that you could do that. And well, let's be honest, if you're not a little bit excited about doing that sort of thing, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video, so you can turn off and go and do something else. Have they gone? Okay, here you are. You have your line, you have your route planned, you have your industries, you have your settlements, you've joined it all together. Now onto the subject of locomotives and rolling stock, and this is where you can go to town. You know, you can just run what you like, you know, or what you can afford even, you know, because I've been accumulating my collection of small locomotives in O scale for a long time, 15 years probably, and all of these are suitable for a light railway. Now, the light railway is a very British thing, and most Brits know what one it actually is, but here for the rest of you is a quick outline. Back in the 1890s, the Depression of the 1880s, that had hit rural England pretty hard, and the government at the time needed to stimulate development in these areas, and rail transportation was seen as key to this. I mean, previously, a railway line required an act of parliament to construct it, and this was a long-winded and very expensive undertaking, and the government wanted to ease the path to railway construction in the rural areas, so they came up with the Light Railways Act in 1896, and that meant an Act of Parliament wasn't required. You just applied to plan the line under the terms of this new Act, and once they'd obtained a light railway order, they could then build the line and operate it. So the costs associated were lessened. You know, you didn't need level crossing gates. The track could be laid to a lighter standard. Their full height platforms were very rare. Garden sheds and tin huts doubled as like station buildings, and the locomotives and rolling stock came from varied sources, just as long as they ran and they were cheap. You know, this could result in a light railway line having a very mixed roster of locomotives, from small shunting locomotives to proud mainline passenger and freight locomotives that had been displaced from their original companies by developments in technology and construction, you know. So you can see why these lines are popular with space-starved modelers in the UK. Small stations with mixtures of locomotives and rolling stock. A modeler can just pick and choose his favourite models and then just invent a railway, a fictitious light railway, to run the trains to his heart's content. And, you know, that's where this beauty comes in. This Helljan GWR rail car. Yeah, what would a GWR rail car be doing on a light railway in Lincolnshire? Well, in my research, I found out that this rail car, W20W, had been on running trials in Lincolnshire in September 1952. We could be pretty exact on the date, and it had been seen running into Mablethorpe. I've got I found a photograph on the internet of it coming off the Mablethorpe branch at Mablethorpe Junction just outside Louth. And so that meant that W20W would have run through Saltfleet By. And Saltfleet By is the junction for my fictitious East Lincolnshire Light Railway. So what's to say that this locomotive wouldn't have gone up on the East Lincolnshire Light Railway up to Northcote on its running trials back in the 1950s. So that was good enough for me to buy this, because this was on sale and I had a coupon, and well, it's just a beautiful, beautiful model and will look great running into Northcote Station when I get the layout built. So, and it's, your research can help you in other ways too, because I know how to name my locomotives as a result of my research. You know, my Manning Wardle K-class, I'm gonna name that Cromwell, because it's rumoured that the English revolutionary leader Oliver Cromwell slept at the Manor House in Saltfleet after the Battle of Winceby. And my terrier is going to be named Tetney, simply because it rhymes with Stepney, and Stepney is the most famous of the class. And Tetney is a town on my system, much like Stepney was named for a town on the main railways. So there you go. That's the discovery of all these things. It's what makes it all so exciting to me. There's no end to it, you know. And your fictional railway history, it like develops and changes over the years as you find more things out. And I've been doing mine for nearly 40 years, and it's always changing as I go on little tracks of research. I mean, just the other day I was looking at a picture of a Great Northern Railway Ivett designed steam rail car. It was in Sutton-on-Sea. Now, these rail cars were known to have operated between Grimsby and Louth. Now, in order to get to Sutton-on-Sea, it would have had to work to the Louth Mablethorpe loop, which means it would have had to have gone through Saltfleet By, which, as you know, is the junction for the East Lincolnshire Light Railway. So what's to say these Ivett steam rail motors didn't end up working the East Lincolnshire Light Railway?